Yeah, just for the sake of time, I'm going to be doing most of my calculations with a calculator. But you know, I'll show you the math behind it as well. So the first method that we're going to do on this problem is just to work strictly with the fractions, all right? We can add, subtract, multiply, and divide with the fractions, okay? And the first thing I notice on this one, there's no distribution. That would be the first thing I would say that I notice. So there's no need to do any distribution because it doesn't exist. Next up, I would be looking to combine any like terms that I can on either side of that equal sign, and I see that we have two fractions that do not have v's on the right side of that equal sign. So I want to look to combine those. Now the two terms are considered to be negative 3 over 2 and also negative 5 over 3. But we know we can't subtract these until we have common denominators. And so I'm not even worried about lowest common denominator, you guys. I don't worry about that stuff when I work with fractions. I know a lot of teachers say, well, you need the lowest common denominator. It's just not true. And even having the lowest common denominator does not guarantee that you won't have to simplify in the end. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 3 right here, and that I've made purple now, and I'm going to multiply it into the numerator and denominator of the other fraction. So that's going to change the denominator into a 6. And so now I have negative 9 over 6. And then I'm going to take the 2 denominator, which I now have in green, and multiply it into the numerator and denominator of the other fraction. What this does is it guarantees common denominators, which in this case is sixths. So we have negative 9 sixths and negative 10 sixths, which when we combine these, it's still going to be in sixths, but it's going to be negative 19 sixths. Now that was just that combining those two like terms, but we still have the other three terms, the negative 47 thirtieths, and also the negative 8 fifths v. Alright, so we did that operation, and I'll show this again, but I just need the space right now, so I'm going to move that up. And the next thing I would do is look and see, well, I have all my v's right now on the right side of the equal sign. I'm going to keep them there. Okay, but I don't want that negative 19 sixths v on the right side of the equal sign, so I need to zero it out. So I'm going to add it, or add its inverse, the additive inverse, just add its opposite, which in this case is positive 19 sixths. Well, that's okay. I mean, that zeroes that out, right? But right now I have this negative 47 thirtieths, so I'll write this out down here, negative 47 thirtieths. And we're going to add this 19 sixths right there. But again, the denominators are not the same, which means that we cannot add these two fractions. So I'm gonna have to force the denominators to be the same. So right now my denominator is a 6, but I want it to be 30 because I know 30 is a multiple of 6. So I'm just going to multiply the 19 and the 6 by 5, which is going to change it into, I believe it's 95 thirtieths. Right there. Again, if I was using the calculator, which I said I would do, though I'm not, it should show me that. Alright, so now I have negative 47 thirtieths plus 95 thirtieths. And combining these is going to make a new fraction, still in thirtieths though, but it's negative 47 plus 95. So I'm going to go to the calculator and just put that in. Negative 47 plus 95. See what it gives us, 48. Now, even though I know 48 thirtieths can be simplified, I'm not so worried about that right now. Let's just see what the new equation looks like from here. 48 thirtieths equals 8 fifths. There we go. Yeah, negative 8 fifths, right? Now, again, I do need the space, so I'm going to move this up a little bit. Now, if you wanted to simplify that fraction, you could. You could say, well, 48 and 30... what the heck, those are both divisible by, I don't know, 6 I guess, which is going to make that 8, well, oh wow, 8 fifths. So this equals 8 fifths v. Now let's say we didn't notice anything about this, which we could have just solved for v right there. But if I was to solve this equation just the regular old-fashioned way, I'd need to divide the right side by 8 fifths to make this 1v. But then I'd have to divide 8 fifths by 8 fifths as well on the left side.
It's a negative 8 fifths v.
Yeah, thank you. I'm working on it. There we go. I was close. So negative 8/5 right there. Well, anything divided by itself is 1. It's just this one happens to be negative right there. So that would be negative 1 equals v. Now, we'll confirm this here in a second. Let's just take a look at the whole thing. Something like this. Okay, and we can check, and I'll use the calculator to do that. So the calculator confirms that we did that correct. So we know the answer is negative 1. V equals negative 1 would make that equation a true statement. But I did say I would do the second method, right? So you may use a different denominator on this method, but the idea is to get all of the terms to have the same denominator, which in this case is 30. And so the first fraction on the left is already 30, so I'm not really worried about that fraction, right? It's already got a denominator of 30. It's negative 47 over 30. But this next term with the v, it's got a denominator of 5. Well, how do I change a 5 into a 30? Again, you got to use multiplication on these. You'd have to multiply it by 6. So now this is 48, negative 48. See, I almost did it again. 30ths v. And then our next term, 3 over 2, but I want that denominator to be 30 as well. So I'd have to multiply the 2 by 15, so the 3 by 15 as well, which would make that negative 45/30ths. And then the 3, just multiply that by 10, so the 5 by 10 as well, making that negative 50/30ths. All right, now the great thing about this is once we get those common denominators with all the terms, it has to be with every single term, we're just going to ignore all of them, okay? And we're going to rewrite this as a new equation, but without any denominators. And I think I talked about this, you guys, is if you can just get used to manipulating math to be what you want it to be, because a lot of people hate fractions like this, then you can go as far as you want to go in math, okay? So this is now going to be negative 47 equals negative 48v minus 45 minus 50. And you may spot some similarities with what we were doing with the last method, but I'm still looking to, in any case, so yeah, we got this, and I would look to distribute, right, which I should have already done. There was no distribution, so again, I'm just looking to combine like terms. There they are. Same thing, negative 45 minus 50 is negative 95. I think that's where that negative 90 thing was coming from for me. So I got negative 47 equals negative 48v minus 95. But again, I'm just going to keep the v's on the right side of that equal sign. So I'm going to get rid of that negative 95 by adding its opposite. So add 95 to both sides. Now, and I think we end up with the same number, right? Was it 48, I believe. So it's a positive 48 now equals this negative 48v. And then the final step here would just be to divide both sides by the coefficient of v, because it's just a one-stepper now. And 48 divided by negative 48 is negative 1. Negative 48 divided by negative 48 is 1, so that's 1v. And we've already confirmed that answer is correct. So, again, whichever method you like, you may use. Hopefully to your benefit, you know what I'm saying. But, yeah, that's how you would use that with that second method of getting rid of the denominators. And I think that was the method they used in a lot of those examples and explanation videos.